Hi there, and welcome to the latest webinar from New Energy Work. And I'm really happy because we've got Patrizia here, Patrizia Stefanini from all the way from Tuscany.
Ciao, hello to everybody.
And yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun, I'm sure, in the next hour, finding out all about how concepts from quantum physics, quantum coherence can help us understand what is going on when we do Shiatsu. It's a big mystery, right?
Absolutely.
And, yeah, it's
very exciting mystery.
And look, here's all the people on the chat. They're all coming here. We've got people from Milan, from Valencia in Spain. I'm sure there's much more. Athens, France, Switzerland, USA, the UK. So yeah, it's really great to see everyone. What we're going to do is we're going to start sharing the slides now. So we get that going. Let's do that now. Okay, and you may know that you can adjust the height of the slides if you want. When you're at home, you can bring it up and down if you want to make us smaller and the slides bigger. It's entirely up to you. Okay, now we've got some polls, haven't we, Patrizia, just to find out a little bit about you, because we're very interested to know how you're doing. We had 450 people sign up, and people are continuing to log on here, so we're expecting to have a really big group. Here we go, people from Greece. Hi everyone. More people from America. Wow, it's really international. Fantastic. Okay, so let's find out a little bit about you. Let's find out first of all whether you're a Shiatsu practitioner, a teacher, or a student. Would you like to just try that out on the polls? Just click where it says, and we'll just see what we've got. Oh look, we've got a few people who aren't Shiatsu practitioners. We've attracted some people from other disciplines. Most people, 75% are all Shiatsu practitioners, and we've got quite a lot of 10% are teachers, so that's quite a lot of teachers too. Just wait a few more seconds for them all to come in. Yep, okay, good. We've got people still joining as we start. So there we are. That gives you an idea. About 10% teachers. Quite a lot of people are students as well, 17% Shiatsu students. So that's worth bearing in mind. And the other thing that Patrizia wanted me to ask you, which is something I don't think we've ever asked on a webinar really, is how confident are you in your understanding, what's your level of your science education? We want to get a rough idea of where you are with science, physics, biology, and chemistry. So the options are up just at high school up to 16 and then you stopped, or when you went up to 18, maybe did A levels or the equivalent, whatever the equivalent is in your country. Did you do a degree, science degree? And are you at a master's level or even a PhD level? Let's have a look here. Whoa, okay, look, Patrizia.
I can see.
You see, it was worth asking, wasn't it? We've got 5% are PhD or above, research specialist. We've got 7% masters, so that's over 10% have either got a master's level in science or above. So there we are. And a whopping 30% have got degree level. So if we add that all up, half of the audience have either got a science degree or above. So that's really quite a highly educated background. But we've got to bear in mind that there's also 20% who skipped science as soon as they could when they were 16. Probably haven't done any since. So we just need to bear that in mind. So we'll do our best to try and match it.
Absolutely.
We've got lots of things we can share, haven't we? References if you want to go deeper and stuff like that. So I hope we can make it enjoyable for everyone. Okay, great. So let's just go back. I'm going to go back to the first slide. And here we are. It's me and Patrizia ready to go. And so you can control the slides, can't you, Patrizia?
Yes.
So would you like to start, and we'll just see how we get on, and I'll keep an eye on the chat, and if any questions come up, we can deal with them. Yeah.
Fantastic. So first of all, thank you for being with us. I hope I will be able to give you a pleasant time and a lot of questions more than answer. I will do my best for being clear. I put together a lot of topics for sure. Cliff will help me in tailoring these hours in a way in which it can be useful for all of you. The main topic, as you could see in the title of the slide, is how we can really connect the quantum physics with life and with the Shiatsu, because we are, the most of us at least, are dealing daily, I guess, or weekly with the Shiatsu, the photon, and our hands. It's very intriguing, this, because, you know, even if the first slide is talking about mechanism, no, sorry.
Mechanistic point of view. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Kind of approach to human being, we know that this has a limit. It has been used for hundreds of years. It has been probably also been useful for understanding some processes, but is actually not so exciting, overwhelming the reality of life and the experience of life we have compared to the quantum point of view.
In some ways, we could say that the quantum input has taken us back to a sort of pre-Newtonian view, isn't it? It's getting closer to the more traditional views of life being an integrated system connected to the environment and so on.
Definitely. There is this root of kind of philosophical approach and not split between science and philosophy and medicine, and also the micro macro, the connection with nature. And one of the most important things we have to remember when we are connected in a Shiatsu touch is that we are all open systems, so no chance to disconnect us from the environment and one from the other. And this we will talk about this in half an hour, has a strong implication that have to be considered if we want to connect with what we call the biological water.
Okay.
In this vitalistic approach, you know, there are no more absolute meaning in the sense that the space and time have not this absolute position. We will talk about this having a look to Masunaga map. He has been a great master in giving us that kind of drawing where we don't deal with lines, but with this kind of strange and not proportional red and colorful strings, and he wrote, these are not fixed at all. Of course, the Kyoijitsu and the life approach and the life experiences make meridians moving. Absolutely fantastically quantum approach. And also, you know, another fantastic thing about the quantum approach is that the human being is considered a macro quantum system because it's an open system, as I said before, is connecting with we are connecting among ourselves with the environment, and also we are able to self-organize, and meridians plays a main role in this ability to get organized. Another way to say is to improve our coherence. Another way to say is to get better, to be happier in life, to have a better quality of life. Are more or less is the same thing I'm talking about. And this is possible because of we are mainly done by water molecules. And this kind of water, it's a mystery because it's not a gas, it's not a liquid, it's not a solid, it's not ice. It's something that Jerry Pollack has called the crystal, the plasmatic crystal, or also Emilio De Giudice, my dear, not just my, but the dear professor I was so lucky to be with for 30 years, working together. He called the coherent domain of water, this kind of special possibility for water to be in this kind of phase called fourth phase, no solid, no liquid, no ice, with very, very peculiar properties, both from chemical and physical point of view.
Okay. You've got some slides. You've got some slides later on, haven't you?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
and we will arrive to this.
Yeah.
And when we deal with coherence, we deal with synchronization, we deal with this kind of circular approach or kind of realm where space and time are connecting and where time is just the present. So for us, it's very exciting when we touch our clients we can bear in mind that if we have a peculiar approach, if our touch has peculiar characteristics, time is a open land to us, and also a bigger responsibility. Meridians will be one of the main topic of this webinar, because meridian is our main tool, at least in the approach of dealing with key, that we cannot no longer call energy in the physics approach, is more, let's say, information. And the meridian, I studied the characters, the kanji, both the Chinese and the Japanese, because recently, listen to this, Cliff, I started to study Japanese language.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yes,
Oh, good luck.
very beginner, but we will have a private time for talking about this. Anyway, the Japanese kanji of meridians is slightly different from the Chinese one. And it underlines the aspect of a hidden flow of something like a river.
Okay.
Carrying the energy, life, information, we can say. We will be back in this. This is, as I said, the Chinese one. This is the Chinese approach. This is the Kiraku that I like to see in this way. Vital processes and global organization of the body as living system depend on this meridian net. We know this map, as I said before. If we have a look with the bidimensional approach, no way to have proper information, because it's not a proportional man. But Masunaga himself wrote, I don't want you to read this map with a flat view. At least other 2 dimensions are needed. The third spatial one, and the time one, because is not a permanent fixed view approach. Very, very clever. So my quest on meridian started very many years ago, Cliff, 15 years ago, no, almost 20 years ago, when I published on the Shiatsu Society News a couple of articles, and I was contributed to the quantum Shiatsu of our dear master Pauline Sasaki, and I added this wave packet because in those days I was studying this kind of possible reading in the atoms with electrons, and it was probably too early to talk about this stuff in the Shiatsu group, because this article was went in a silence realm, and nobody talked about this. It was a brilliant idea, I know, but probably for future time.
But a lot's changed in 20 years, though, hasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I've been doing a lot of research for the online course, and I've been reading a lot of recent articles, biological articles and biophysics articles, and the literature is absolutely full of it now. It's totally full of it. Isn't it? Biophysics is totally full of quantum processes and macro processes and everything.
Because I think one of the reasons is that more and more the quantum science went out from the micro world, because in the beginning, also in my time, when I was studying university, you were thinking that the quantum physics explained just what was happening inside the atom. Now we know that there is the modern quantum physics that applies to the macro system. So it's much more intriguing to study life using this paradigm. And also can be, it's required, and I think for us as a practitioner, it's a very good aspect. It requires an open mind, very kind of meditative approach, to be humble and patient, to kind of even if we don't really understand with the rational mind, we have to kind of think in that kind of experience, and try to experience through the touch what we read, or at least what I'm going to propose to you, because somebody said it's spooky, quantum physics is spooky. It was Einstein. So I mean, probably there is always an aspect of quantum that sound very weird, and probably it is. For me, it's very, very exciting because I have always been a very creative girl. So when I studied in university, I didn't have the feeling that was strange. It was artistic, was mystic, was helping my mind to be able to envelop a kind of different understanding. And so I apply happily and I hope usefully to the study of the meridians. And so after this very beginning approach, I had this question in my mind, if meridian can be experimented, detected, because our idea, I think the Shiatsu people is always, can we have official recognition because we can give evidence, scientific evidence to our
Exactly, yeah.
ability. And also, in some way, in which way meridians are connected with the anatomical structure. I had to wait almost 20 years, but in the final part of this hour together, I will show you at least a result, a theoretical result that was published last November. Very, very interesting article. Okay, so in my quest on meridian, when I was in Neuss, I met two incredible.
What was that? What could you explain what noise is to anyone who doesn't know?
Neuss was a beautiful, incredible academy where for science, researcher, artists, mystic people, oriental art practitioner. It was starting as a scientific community. The founder was Fritz Albert Pope, that unfortunately is no more with us. And he was able to collect a worldwide, beautiful, incredible mix of scientists, physicists, medical doctors, biologists, chemists, a very heterogeneous and beautiful group of open-minded scientists. And he was developing this study in IIB, International Institute of Bio-photons, about the emission of light from the human body. Bio, because it's life, photon are the quantum of the light, and we know that the inner field of human being has the same frequency, has the same spectrum of the light, of the sunlight.
Can you just, so we say, it was NOIS, wasn't it? Noise? It stands for something, doesn't it?
NU.
NU.
There is a U, is written in a very, you have to know how to pronounce, otherwise you read in a different way. NUESS.
I'll just type it into the NEUSS.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And IIB was the institute.
It was wasn't it every year they got together, I think it was, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there was an open summer campus every year, almost 1 week. And in between, the people they were working together were able to connect just a group or very few people, because in the successful year, in summer, we were 80, 100 people. In the very last year, half, even a little bit less, but in summer was really a very large community. But you know, what was fantastic is that the ideas that were kind of shared and implemented in that institute were nourishing us for the rest of the year, because I was, for example, nourished by this article, because it was produced in 2005 by Fritz Albert Pope.
Yeah, they're very famous. I mean, they're absolutely incredible pictures, aren't they?
Fantastic, because you know, and he was very well connected with this acupuncturist, Dr. Schlebus, Klaus Schlebus, that was a master with the Thermocam. When I met him the first time in Neuss.
The Thermocam, just to explain the Thermocam, you've got a picture of it later on, haven't you? The Thermocam.
Yeah.
It's a special camera that can detect low levels of different frequencies of radiation from the body, isn't it?
Yeah, in the infrared range.
Right.
And in a range of almost 400 Celsius degrees, so a very wide range on temperature. And the frequencies is between the infrared and the visible light.
Yeah.
And you know, Klaus was very experienced, very able, very special in using this machine, because afterward, and I will show you other pictures, I found a more evoluted thermocam in Italy, but unfortunately Klaus was not with me, and so it's not so easy. You have a good tool, even more modern and technologically more evoluted, but it's not so easy to monitor the phenomena we call meridians.
Right.
And you know, very, very complicated. Anyway,
Okay.
this
But the
picture,
important thing I think about these pictures that you have to realize, because I've got the original article, it doesn't seem to be available now on the internet, but I downloaded it back in the day. I've got the copy of the original German article, and it's very important to realize that this is not conduction of, it's not like the heat is being conducted along the channels, but it's actually being activated, and the meridians are literally lighting up within a few seconds. As soon as the moxa is taken away, the light goes out within a few seconds. You're literally like activating the meridian emissions, aren't you?
Absolutely. In this case was with the moxa, sticks.
Yeah.
In this first article, and you know, the different colors are not dealing with the real temperature, but with the distribution of radiation. And what show us that is not heat but is radiation is that if it would have been heat, it took quite some minutes to decrease. While with Klaus, we saw that when you put away the stick, immediately this channel vanished. So it's properly radiation. You know?
And there are a lot of them as well. There's like Cindy, who's on it, asked how many replications, how many times was it replicated? Well, the article has a lot of different pictures. With the spleen, there's some very, I mean, one of the ones that I found most fascinating was moxa on spleen 6 lit up the spleen meridian on the opposite leg.
Absolutely.
That was
amazing,
absolutely incredible. I mean, and it's just so close to what you experience as well. The whole thing about working on the opposite side to treat the other side and stuff like that.
Make a lot of sense. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, this article from academic society was quite not refused, but it created a lot of reaction. Kind of, it didn't have a kind of easy life, but it doesn't matter. Klaus and Fritz went on and offered me the chance to work with Klaus in these years. And this was here it is the thermocam he was used to have. And you know, this is when I was treating clients, and this was during the treatment. And you know, for telling you the truth, it was just with Shiatsu, and Klaus was monitoring us. As you can see, you don't see properly lines, meridians. So I was wondering what is going wrong. But Klaus was very clever, and at the end they show us this picture and said, I've never seen something like that. These lines between my arm and the receiver one that stays for minutes after the end of the treatment were really for Klaus a big result, because he gave an explanation with his own words. And for us that we practice this kind of shots dealing with resonance between field of giver and receiver, make a lot of sense. So the
kind of energy connection. There's an energy connection between you.
Yeah, it stays.
It's very interesting to know what that was, what that actually is, some kind of information connection. It needs
information connection, this kind of connection between the two fields that is not totally gone, because there is still a memory of the experience, because I don't know. We wanted to go on in this research, but unfortunately was no more able. And after, you can see 5 years, finally, I was in a special institute in Mantova, in the north of Italy, quite close to Milan, and there was this new thermocam, much more sensitive, with a much bigger resolution. And as I told you before, I had quite some difficult time to find a technical help And there, because you know, you had to find also a good kind of way to use. And I just want to show you how surprising was to treat this shoulder and to see that the touch was really light in the meridian. And because the resolution was bigger, the meridian was more visible. This is a knee, the left knee. Even better, this picture, you see, there is this light coming out from the body as if this light field trapped in the meridian was, how can I say, cold at the surface. And I can tell you that it stays for quite a few minutes, was not vanishing after a few seconds. And the kind of touch I was using here was the touch I'm going to talk very soon, going more and more in what I called the minimal stimulus touch, in the respect of this Weber and Fechner law that deals with the reaction in human being, or let's say in living system, where if you don't, less stimulus you give, easier it is to increment a inner reaction. And in the living being, the inner reaction has to deal with the self-organization. So
well, one of the things that I thought when I first saw it, I thought, well, maybe it's like the surface. Yes, can you hear me? It looks like Patrizia's gone offline for a second. I just want to she's probably got local internet connection issues. We'll just carry on. I'd just like to go back with this, because when I first looked at it, I thought, well, maybe it's you know, the touch is stimulating the just the surface circulation, but actually, when I looked at it a bit more closely, oh, she's back. Here we go. Can you hear us again?
I can hear you. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, I think the internet just dropped out for a second. I was just saying that when I first looked at it, I thought, well, maybe it's this. You know, when you press the body, it tends to bring the circulation to the blood circulation to the surface, and that would increase the temperature. But actually, when you look at it, it's much quicker than that. Yeah. And also, the interesting thing is that the lighting up occurs between the hands. It doesn't happen just where you're pressing. It happens definitely along a line.
That's it.
In a very similar way. But the interesting thing is the moxa was so intense. I guess the heat is such a strong stimulation, isn't it?
Yes.
Whereas with the hands, it's more subtle, and you're just getting this change from green to yellow, and you can just see the outline of the channel connected there.
Yeah, you know? Because, you know, actually what we are inducing is, let's say, having almost the same result. We are inducing a quite different process. We are inducing soliton waves to activate the meridians.
Yes, that's right. We talk about that a bit later on. Okay. You've got that, haven't you? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Sorry, I've taken over your slides now. You can.
No. Thank you very much. It's good we go on. It's good we go on. So let's say after this kind of experience, you know, I was more and more in love for meridians, and I said, this is just the beginning of the play of the game. Let's go on. Yeah. And how can we go on? Yeah, it is that the fantastic biophysics information about water is taking place. As I told you before, we don't have just the vapor, the water, and the ice, but what Jerry Pollack called the E zone, exclusive zone, or these plasmatic crystals. And Emilio was, and not just him, was underlying every time that we are mainly down by water, so that this kind, here it is, the two men. This is Fritz Albert Popp.
It's Emilio, isn't it? Albert Popp, oh, that's Popp. Oh, I see. Yeah. Can we just go back? Can we just go back one slide, because I just want to. I just wanted to spend a bit more time on the second point here.
Yeah.
It's a systemic view of water as an active substance. And I think that's really important, because I think, as we were discussing before when we had the rehearsal, we were talking about how fascia, because it's so quiet in the body, hasn't been studied as a form of communication. And it's the same with water, because water is considered to be an inert thing, isn't it, that dissolves things and all that. It's not really, it was never really considered to have very special properties. But actually, now it's becoming more and more clear that actually we not only are we made of water, but it's not like we're just bags of water, but we're actually self-organizing systems of a special kind of way that water organizes itself, which I think is an incredible thing from a philosophical point of view, how life came from the oceans, literally organizing its water. I mean,
this interfacial water that has this peculiar condition, this fourth phase, is able to, for example, to induce the spontaneous breaking of symmetry. We will talk later. And so while the water normally has a kind of symmetric dipole, is a spherical symmetry, when there are endogenous or exogenous field, as it is the case in the human being, there is this breaking of symmetry, and so here it is, the order is possible, and the quantum fluctuation are not so important as they are in the micro world. So if we have this order, we can implement our organization, and having this order means having meridians. So the net of meridians is the protagonist in these properties to be able to self-organize. It's a way of seeing, at least. It's one of the ways which we can see the self-organization.
Yes, yeah, amazing. Okay.
It sounds so easy. It sounds so simple.
Yeah. Amazing. So there they are together. That's a great picture.
I did it in 2008, and you see a physicist talk with hands, and you can see Emilio explain something to Fritz, and his face, Fritz's face is so beautiful in this listening with all the expression of his face. And so, as we said, this we have already talked about. This is a way in which it's possible to give a visual impression of what is the coherence. The classic ballet is a coherence.
Shall we ask them now? Shall we ask them about their
bravo, yes,
how they understand coherence?
Yeah.
Here we go. We've got another poll for you. We want to find out from you at home how confident you are in your understanding of what coherence is. So if you can let us know, and then we can slow it down a bit and just talk a little bit about what coherence is. Here we go. We've got about a 50-50 split, I would say, roughly. About 50 are confident or very confident, and about a little bit less are either very unconfident or unconfident. So maybe you should just spend a little bit of time just explaining what coherence is.
I will start with these two pictures. If you see on the left, you have just people walking, let's say, in a station hall, and you can see that each person is independent, is moving in a different direction. It looks like that one can hit the other, or anyway, there is no communication among all these people. And this is an example of a non-coherent group. While on the right side, you have these dancers, and you can see that each one of these dancers have almost the same movement, but with a personal expression. But there is give us a sense of order, and there is a choreography. So there is a message that comes from the collective behavior of the group.
Right.
So let's say that when we deal with a system, a coherent system, every unit, can be molecules, can be atom, can be tissue, can be organs, whatever we want to use. These units are in this kind of connection that we can say they are entangled. So they move, one dealing with the movement of the other. So there is no disorder. There is the possibility to create an harmonic overall picture, and moving in this way, they create the possibility to communicate. So information can pass from one subject to the other because of there is disorder.
Okay. Yeah. I remember because I was lucky enough to present with Emilio a few times. Thank you to you for giving me the opportunity back in Tuscany. We had some great workshops, didn't we?
Absolutely fantastic.
We had workshops, Patrizia, myself, and Emilio, and he could keep everyone fascinated for hours just talking about water, couldn't he?
Yes.
But I did one for the I did a big workshop for hundreds of people in the for the Italian Shiatsu Federation.
Yeah.
And I got them all to do an exercise very much like that picture. So I got them to all bounce around off each other, and then I got them into a circle. I got them all to align, to connect with them all, and to walk round, so that it created just one very simple system where everyone felt they kind of you kind of lose your identity in a way, don't you? You become part of the flow, and you only need one or two people to disrupt it by doing something different, and it disrupts the entire system, kind of thing. And I remember Emilio was just totally on it. I mean, he was just like going, well, what it is just that it's the biomagnetic fields. They're just integrating and creating a coherent system within the whole thing, you know. And he could just see immediately, you know, what was happening. And I just thought that was just so interesting. It's one of those things that we experience a lot in groups, don't we? When we do Qigong or we do any kind of exercise like that. And it's very similar to the sensation that we get in our own bodies when we do alignment and when we kind of integrate all the different parts of our body consciously, you know. So it's just
we really put the noise down, and when the noise is the minimum, the communication between different cells or whatever take part. And what's happened? That the system can work with the minimal amount of energy, and it's very efficient. All the vital functions can work without big effort.
So that's very close to what you have, like in Shiatsu. You know, when you start and you feel Kyo and Jitsu and all the energy is kind of all over the place and everything, and you're working at a very small level sometimes with points and just around, say, a joint, and then other times you're extending your connection through the body. But I mean, it's pretty much all the time that at the end, the person feels more together, kind of together, you know, more like one thing. And that is a totally consistent experience as a receiver, isn't it? I know that from my own experience as receiving Shiatsu, but also what my clients and what all our clients, I'm sure, say. They just say, I feel more like I'm one. I feel like I'm more together.
Absolutely. Actually, what I call the phase connection, this kind of resonance, give you a global information, not the...
Gives you a what, sorry? It gives you a...
Global information.
Global information.
Global information of the global system. You are no more attracted by specific, even interesting, but specific part of the system. You tune it with this kind of overall kind of view or feeling. You are connected with the system in a whole, as a wholeness, and eventually the bigger fields that with Emilio we were used to call the double, the part of the universal key that take part for supporting the healing process.
All right, that's the connection with the environment, the information from the environment.
Then you can select the resonance where you are in the Shiatsu connection. So in a sense, it's a kind of ability to resonate with what make you happy, make you healthy, make you...
I've got a few comments from the chat. Janindra says that feeling of oneness is often a rather strange feeling for the clients.
It's true.
And it's true, isn't it? Because the modern world is always distracting us from that kind of feeling, you know?
Also, you know, just today I had a client that arrived with a problem in the knee, and she's used to have a lot of kind of remedies, and she takes care about herself, even using other kind of approaches. But after a few minutes, I was touching her. She said, "Oh my God, I feel completely different. Not just my knee. I feel that I'm no more so tired. And I was laughing and say, this is because you are well integrated, and it's very easy for me to tune in one part of you and feel that you are reacting overall. Let's say that we need a kind of touch act with what we call alignment. What Pauline left us so many years ago and still is so fantastic starting point, because the alignment put, first of all, ourselves as a giver in a condition where our coherence improve, our degrees of coherence improve.
I tell you what, I've got just one question. I don't know if you can comment on this. Francesco says, does coherence reduce also entropy? But entropy is a different
thing. Definitely. No, reduce entropy, because it's so you reduce, we talk about negentropy, negentropy. So definitely, yes, is a parameter.
A more structured, more ordered thing, system, more ordered system. Okay. And Cindy's asking, how do you feel that Shiatsu increases the coherence of the water molecules? So maybe we can get onto that in a minute, because we've got the water bridge thing, haven't we, going? And I will go. Okay, this is one of the publications I've done for Poznań University, where I really want to show to academic people, listen, in the world of Shiatsu, there is the possibility to use the quantum physics and to produce this kind of results or effect. And I was talking about this, as I told you, in agreement with Weber-Fechner law, this law I was naming before, that is clarifying that human systems are non-linear systems, and if we have what I call the gentle touch, that don't mean light touch, but the touch where we use the minimal muscle tonus, as Matsunaga was saying. So we just lean, we don't press. We lean with the pure relaxed body weight. Not so easy to do, but when we use the relaxed body weight, then in that case, we are able to induce a kind of different reaction in the system, because we produce a minimum stimulus, and the minimum stimulus, by definition, there are scientific articles published, goes in the direction to support the order of the system, so the coherence. We can have the idea of this if we feel the movement between mother and son hands, and we can call it soliton, because a movement between mother and son hand induced by this gentle touch can be a solitary wave, so efficient way to move information and energy. We can see we can induce emission of bio-photon. That is another way of improving the coherence of the system. And also the dissipation is another phenomena. Very often we feel that, for example, feet of our client become warmer, or even hands. And it's a dissipation of heat that is another parameter to support, that is a kind of witnessing the improvement of the coherence. Because we reduce the energy that is not needy, that is a kind of like the contraction in the muscle, we transform this energy that is blocked and stay in a sort of stagnation in a flow that will produce different effect, and when it's not needy, it goes away from the body with the dissipation heat, with bio-photon and light emission. With soliton, that is a very efficient way of carrying energy and information inside the meridian, arriving to the cells and producing the metabolic reaction needed for that client in that moment. So at least there are another thing that interests me is, like, what is the actual nature of the contact? I mean, because obviously we have got our own biomagnetic field, haven't we? I mean, there's several things happening there. You've got the biomagnetic field which is very weak, but it's very specific. And we know that biological systems are very sensitive to very low intensity biomagnetic fields, aren't they? And also very specific frequencies. So, you've got that information going in. You've also got the actual physical pressure, which has a lot of different effects. You know, we've got the piezoelectric effect. We've got compression of the other thing that I've found out through the research I've been doing is the whole idea of tensegrity structures, which are like fractal. In other words, you've got the tensegrity structure of the whole body, but that's echoed fractally down, right down to the cells. The whole structure is built as a kind of network. So as soon as you touch anyone with any kind of field or information and you apply the pressure, that information is going to echo down through all these different integrity layers, isn't it?
Yeah.
Basically, that's what's happening. I mean, it's the thing I find quite interesting, really, well, very interesting, is the more because I've been doing the online course has been great because I've had the time to be able to spend the time going deeper and deeper into the research, and it can get so complicated, you know, as you go down. But actually, what happens when you're touching is such a simple kind of thing. That's the
Cliff. Cliff. In a sense, what all you said is absolutely right. But when I do what I call the Hado Shiatsu, this Shiatsu I practice based on this principle, I deal simply with the phase resonance. I don't think any longer to the more physical reaction. I act in this quantum approach where I had to be able to be more coherent of my clients, so to be a little bit healthier, of course. And I kind of offer my phase order, my phase dynamics to the clients. So it's a sort of temporary hook to let the client feel in peace, more relaxed.
Because I tell you what it really reminds me of. It reminds me so much of Cindy Engel's webinar, you know, about the somatic empathy. I think you looked through those slides, didn't you?
Absolutely. I totally agree with this. Probably is very similar to what I mean. This kind of perception that comes because this empathic resonance that is not just the brain, is the touch, is the overall system. Because as we said, when we talk about the coherent system, we have to talk in the collective approach. And so in that sense, I don't mean it's simple. I don't mean it easy, but it's simple. It's not easy.
A lot of people we've got a few things going on in the chat as well now, because they're wondering about, doesn't that mean it's to do with energy and things like that? But it's not to do with energy transmission, is it?
No. Phase is not energy.
Phase resonance.
When we talk about energy, we talk about the frequency resonance. While information is exchanged with a very, very minimal amount of energy. So we are not talking about energy. Information can be can happen in a kind of synchronic moment. So in the real time, because information can walk at the infinite speed, not energy. Information, yes.
It's resonance.
So we are not talking about energy at all. Otherwise, we cannot be in this empathic connection. This is the big difference between frequency resonance and phase resonance. Phase deals with information. So it's just a witnessing a process, and you don't even need to ask, you have this information. It's this kind of empathic. So it's not at all. Actually, if I give my energy, I go in the wrong direction, because the coherence is supported if there is a minimal amount of energy for the system.
Yes, sure,
I want to do the opposite, not at all giving energy, but giving my harmonic, we can say, this harmony, this order, this kind of overall feeling of myself. This is a completely different thing.
Yes. Okay, we've got only 10 minutes left now.
Yeah, so we go quickly. This we have talked about, so I think I can go on.
Oh, we must have a look at the water bridge. Do you want me to play the film? Shall we play the film?
So, let's talk a moment about what is the water bridge. The first time I saw alive, I mean, I was in Milan University, the water bridge was thanks to the invitation from Emilio Del Giudice, the physics professor in Milan, invitation of Elmar Fuchs, this very brilliant physicist that is working in Holland, and Emilio was whispering, this is the meridian outside the body. This, you can see the meridian. And I didn't know actually really what it meant. But now I think I know more, or I started to search for this kind of images also inside my receiver. What is a water bridge? It's a pure water that is not leaking between two beakers, but in special condition of high voltage and special temperature is, as you can see from the left to the right, when the beakers are in touch and then they move one distant from the other, there is this bridge done by water, liquid water, apparently, but it's not just liquid. It's also this on the surface, as we said already. There are these layers of plasmatic water that act as a glass surrounding the water, the liquid water, and so you can see this amazing bridge, this amazing picture.
Yeah.
And also, you know, in further study, also last year in Sofia, Elmar was studying the infrared emission, was studying other phenomena like this one. We have the video, but I don't think it's the case to show, right, Cliff?
No, okay. But what I'll do is I'll send you a link. I'll send you everyone a link. It's an amazing video, absolutely incredible, because you can see all this literal information just lit up around the way that it connects. It's absolutely incredible. Really, really worth. And I'll send you a link because the link brings you in about 10 minutes into the video, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Which is the most interesting bit for us. But it is, I totally agree. It's the closest we're ever going to get to seeing a meridian actually outside of the body. It's really quite amazing. And it really does make it very, very understandable that structuring in the water is, you know, exactly what happens, because that's what happens within the connective tissue. The collagen fibers line up, don't they? And they basically have dipoles that causes an electrical field across the molecules, and that's essentially what happens. And it's through that process that the collagen structures itself. Exactly what's happening in this experiment, isn't it? It's amazing. Yeah,
exactly. And is this kind of situation where matter and fields cannot be split, that cannot be detached one from the other, is this is what we know from our approach in Shiatsu.
And someone said, I think it's someone said it's also, some of it could be surface tension, and surface tension is a similar kind of thing, but much weaker, isn't it? It's to do with a boundary in the water. Water tends to organize along a boundary.
Yeah, but different phenomena. Also, if you can measure, Elmar Fuchs could do it because he has a very efficient system. You can measure physical and chemical properties that are completely different from the other phenomena. So no doubt that we are dealing with something different.
Yeah, it is incredible. I really recommend that video. It's amazing.
Yeah. You know, just because I was telling you this will be in the references, this thanks to these fantastic and hard people like the professor, theoretical physicist Professor Larissa Brizik in Kiev and Giuseppe Vitiello in University in Salerno, and a friend that is also osteopath. We could close a circle that Emilio opened because he put us together. We were working together thanks to him. And this incredible article is a kind of fundamental studies that has been published last summer in a Journal of Acupuncture and Meridian Studies. And he's talking about meridian in this sense. I don't know if I have time. I already talked about I already said something about this, the breaking of the symmetry, spontaneous breaking of a symmetry, that is possible because there is this endogenous field that is giving the possibility of the water molecules not to stay in this symmetrical order, but to organize in a different way. And I said that we have always called this phenomena meridians. I put the Matsunaga map just because, first of all, it's the one in which that I use, but also because in my studying, I don't want to say this the truth. Please, if somebody knows something different, I would like to know. But in my personal studies, it's thanks to the Japanese approach to meridians that I could deal with the dynamics. With this idea of meridian as vital movements. I guess that in classical Chinese medicine, there were similar information. In the traditional, probably are lost, but it doesn't matter if it's Chinese or Japanese. We have this fantastic possibility to understand our what we feel when we touch using this map, thanks to this beautiful and exciting development of the quantum physics.
Brilliant. We've got just a few minutes left. Someone's asked if you could just say a little bit about soliton waves before we finish.
Very simple. Soliton waves are a very efficient way in which energy and information can move in along a optical fiber or a meridian. So when we talk about movement, energy can move and information can move in very, very different way. And there is dissipation, some information gets lost. While when we have a solitary wave, almost nothing gets lost, and all the package of energy and information arrives and disappear in one spot. So is a kind of packet of information and the energy that are delivered where is needed. So it's an efficient way of...
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, I know it's fascinating because I have been reading up about the whole thing. It is a fascinating topic. We'll give you lots of references at the end, and when we send out the recording, we will. So we better just sort of finish up now. We've got 3 minutes left. So what have we got left?
As you know, these are the future, that is not just mine. I hope that very many of you will contribute to the scientific evidence of the meridian, because as we said, it's very difficult to have tools able to monitor in a useful way what we feel. Jerry Pollack told me, you know, you touch people, you can tell if what I say is right or wrong. And I said, listen, I love your book, The Fourth Phase of Water is a fantastic book. And then he said, you know, what you feel is not yet possible to be regularly devised by scientific tools, because we don't have yet this kind of
well, Cindy, it was interesting because Cindy said exactly the same thing. She says the body workers will always be ahead of the science because we're always experiencing things, and science will always be behind trying to explain what's going on, you know.
And if you let's say that if we think about mystics, Oriental the information or the kind of view of the universe coming from masters, we slowly science is arriving to see that Taoistic approach is definitely right. The Shiva Nataraja dance is the dance of the particles in quarks and so on. So yes, science slowly is approaching the mystery of life.
Yes. Okay, great. Well, we better wrap up. We've got just 2 minutes left. So there's lots of other articles, and again, we're going to I'm going to send you links after the webinar. And everyone's saying thank you very much. It's lovely to see you. What an awesome group. More than about half of them had degrees in science, Patrizia. We weren't expecting that.
Thank you very much. Incredible. I hope I give you something new and not just what you already know.
Not at all. No, it's been fascinating. And look, here's a link to, or I'll send you a link. This is something that you're organising in Tuscany. If anyone's free, they want to join between the 4th and 7th of July. Okay. So so if anyone's interested in that, again, we can send you links to that. And the other thing I would like to just mention, you may or may not realize that we've got an ongoing online course on Shiatsu the scientific basis, and this is module 6 actually launches today, and Patrizia's been very kind, very generous with her information, and it's been a fantastic course. We've integrated all kinds of new information. I've been lucky enough to spend like a whole day a week for the last couple of months just getting deeper and deeper into the research. We've got 54 people enrolled already. If you want to join us, the formal enrollment time is over, but we're still taking people on if you want to join us. And the way to do that is to go and check out the free preview and then see if you like it first. And I'm going to open up the module 6 for everyone. Then we can share all of the information and all the new research and everything. Okay, and that's it. It's to the end of the webinar. Thank you so much, Patrizia. It's so wonderful.
Thank you very
much.
It's
so lovely to see you. It's been absolutely wonderful. And I just want to say thank you to everyone. We've had well over 122 people, and we've got something like 450 people who will be seeing it overall, because lots of people check out the recording. So that's really wonderful. And now I'm going to make sure the webcams are turned off. Anyone who was on the last webinar will know what I mean. And then I'm going to close up the webinar. So, okay, ciao.
Ciao, thank you.
Bye-bye.